This lesson, we're going to be converting miles into kilometres. So here's your starter questions. So pause the video and have a go at these. And here are the answers for the starter questions.
Okay, so I want you to copy all of this into your book. And what we're saying here is that 5 miles is approximately equal to, is about 8 kilometers. So going from miles to kilometers, we divide by 5, then multiply by 8. And going from kilometers to miles, we divide by 8, then multiply by 5. So make sure you copy those down, and then we're going to have a look at some examples. Okay, side heading examples. Right, so it's 10 miles to my house. What's that in kilometers? So we're going from miles to kilometers. So we are going to divide by 5, then multiply by 8. So I'm going to say 10 divide by 5 is 2. That 2 we're going to then multiply by 8, which is 16. So what is that in kilometers? Well, it's about 16 kilometers. So let's have a look at our next example. Right, just asking us what is 65 miles in kilometers. So we're going to divide by 5. So we're going to say 65 divide by 5. Right, so if you don't know that one off the top of your head, you might not. Right, we could just do a little bus stop over on the side. Oops. So I've got 5 goes into 6 once with 1 remainder. Then 5 goes into 15 3 times. So there's 3 there. Now I've got 13 multiplied by 8 to turn that into kilometers. Okay, so you might not know that off the top of your head. I certainly don't know my 13 times table very well. So we're going to partition that 13. And turn that into 10 and 3. So 8 times 1 is 8. And add that 0. And then we've got 8 times 3 is 24. So 13 times 8 is 80 and 24, which we can see is 104. So our answer is 104 kilometers. Okay, so let's have a look at our next example. So it's 32 kilometers from here to Aberdare. So what is that in miles? Okay, so we're going the opposite way now. So our first job, we're going to get 32 and we're going to divide it by 8. Okay, so I know that 32 divided by 8 is 4. Then I'm going to say 4 multiplied by 5 now. We're going from kilometers to miles. 4 times 5 is 20. So I can say that that is 20 miles. Okay, so our next example now. Right, what is 64 kilometers in miles? What is 64 kilometers in miles? Well, 64 we divide by 8. This is one you should know, but 8 times 8 is 64. So 64 divided by 8 is 8. Then again, I'm going to say 8 now multiplied by 5 is 40. So 64 kilometers is about 40 miles. Okay, so side heading main task now. So there is a worksheet attached. So while you're doing the worksheet, you pause the tape and then we'll come back and you can mark your own. Welcome back. So here are your answers. Okay, so let's have a look at our checking question when you're ready. So from Newport to Bristol is 31.5 miles, or 31.5 miles. So what is that in kilometers? Okay, so we know when we're going from miles to kilometers, we need to first divide by 5. So I'm going to say 31.5 divided by 5. So that's not an easy one to do in our heads. So we can just do a bus stop here. So 31.5. So 5 goes into 3. Well, it doesn't. But 5 goes into 31 6 times with a remainder of 1. And we'll put our decimal point there. And we've got 5 goes into 15 3 times. So we've got 6.3. And then we've got to multiply that 6.3 by 8. Okay, so I'm going to do a bus stop again. Not a bus stop, I'm going to partition, I meant to say. So we're going to pretend for a moment there's no 6.3, but it is 63. Okay, so we know that 8 times 6 is 48. And add a 0. Then we've got 8 times 3 is 24. So altogether that is 504. Okay, but we know that we need to add that decimal point in there. In the question, there was 1 digit after the decimal point. So then must be 1 digit after the decimal point in the answer. So we've got an answer here of 50.4 kilometers. Okay, so thank you very much, and I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.